Welcome to the Janda Diaries.
Yes. First episode. It's kind of a heavy one, though.
It is a heavy one. So, this is a podcast about love, marriage, parenting, and choosing each other when the seasons of life are really hard.
When they're hard, when they're good, always choosing each other.
They've been hard lately, though.
Yeah.
So I wrote a blog, posted it the other day so people can kind of read that. This is going to go into a little bit more detail
Yep.
um about the topics in the blog, but more specifically about how those events affected our marriage, um how we were able to work through them, what it taught us about life, marriage, relationships. Um so let's get into it.
Yeah, let's do it. It's tough because, you know, going through all of this, we've been married for 12 years now, together almost 18. We've been through a lot of ups and downs, a lot of, good, a lot of bad. We always stuck next to each other and really stood by each other. So I think this episode will show one of the instances that really, I don't want to say tested us because I think we're always strong, but it really showed how well we got through this together.
Yeah. We did it, but I wouldn't want to go through it again. Um my mom passed away last October of glioblastoma. It is a terminal brain cancer. People like, um, yeah, John McCain. I guess there's some other.
Joe Biden's son died of it as well.
Yeah, it's a very aggressive. I think the most important part is terminal brain cancer. So it is not something you get better from or heal from. I think there's a lot of advancements. There's certainly treatments that extend length of life. Um, but so she was formally diagnosed in September of 2024.
Mhm.
I had started to notice in the weeks prior some like odd behavior.
Yep. Most of the text messages, I think, like she normally would have like very intelligent text messages,
Yeah.
full sentences, paragraphs.
Yeah. And her memory is like ridiculous. Like if I told her my daughter was having a cheer camp 2 weeks from now on a Tuesday at 5, she would be like texting me at 4:30, like, hey, are you headed to the cheer camp? Like that was just her way. And she was starting to not remember certain details. And again, I want to make clear, like it did happen very quickly. This wasn't like a 6-month decline. This was like a 3-week decline. Um, but I started noticing the symptoms and my intuition was like, this is bad. Um, and I actually was the one who coerced my stepdad and mom to go to the emergency room because I just knew something was wrong. And they were like, fine, we'll go, kind of thing. And I had already told you that night, like before we put our daughter down to bed, like, I'm going to go pack my bag.
Well, your intuition told you something, and your intuition is usually always right.
Yeah.
I've learned that being with you, like your intuition is spot on.
Yeah. I just knew. I was like, something ain't right. And I didn't know what it was. I didn't know. I actually had thought maybe she had had like a stroke.
Mm-hmm.
And these were like post-stroke
Like Alzheimer's or something like that.
symptoms. Yeah. Maybe like early onset. Yeah. I didn't know, but I just knew it was something in the brain and it was something bad. And so we get a call that night saying that they'd found a mass in her brain. And we hopped in the car, picked up my sister, drove immediately down. They lived at the beach, and she was still in the ER at this time, and she just looked, it was shocking.
The amount of decline that we saw from when we last saw her, which was maybe like a month before then.
In less than a
Less
month.
than that, yeah. And the amount of decline from that point to this point was very noticeable.
Yeah, like it was just like, what in the world is going on? So anyway, she got to the hospital. They had to take her by ambulance to a bigger facility in Wilmington, North Carolina, and that's when they did the tests and the neurosurgeon came in, and I'm like a vibes person, like, especially with medical stuff. We'll get into this in future episodes why. But instantly when he walked in, I felt like good vibes.
Yeah.
Like I was like, okay, this guy's smart. He knows what he's doing. I could feel he was being very proactive. I could also feel he was extremely concerned.
Yeah.
And I was like, this isn't good. And that's when he told us it was glioblastoma. He told us that if we did no treatment, she would last maybe 2 months. And if we did full resection, which means removal of the mass, brain surgery, plus treatment, she would last 12 to 16 months.
Yeah.
And I just literally, I think I fell on the floor. I don't remember. It was like an out of body experience. I could not believe what I was hearing. I did not understand what terminal meant. I did not understand that there was a world in which you could find out this information and that person could not die and there was nothing you could do. I just couldn't. It was like the world was, I don't know, it was like spinning. It was like out of body.
These things don't happen to people, right? Like that, you see these things happening in movies.
Yeah.
These things happen maybe to other people. But when it happens to you, when you have a neurosurgeon telling you that, your mom only has 12 to 16 months to live, it, like you said, it's an out of body experience. Everything else kind of goes away, and you're just like, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
like what do we do now?
Yeah. And it was like at that moment is when I felt probably the most amount of grief throughout this whole process. I don't know why, but it was one of those things where, again, my intuition was like, this guy is right. What he's telling me is right. There's not hopes and prayers, and there's not, whatever is going to make it better. Like, this is the truth. And I need to accept that. And I feel like that moment was when everything changed for me. And it was less about, it was a quicker transition for me to go from news to acceptance. I don't think a lot of other people in my family ever got there, literally up until the end, but I did it very quickly. I'm not sure why, but I think it just felt like, okay, this is the news. And so, like, what are we going to do now?
Yeah.
Right? Because in my family, my mom was the matriarch and like ran the show, right? Like, she's the one who coordinated everything and everything kind of, I don't know. It's just the way it worked.
Well, after you get the news, after the shock of it, and you said you had this immense feeling of grief, right? And then your mind probably then goes to, oh, what happens now? When this sort of family structure that was created by your mom over years and years and years, over a lifetime,
Yeah.
now just is gonna go away. Is gonna crumble. What happens?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And like, I think it's important here to discuss as we go into sort of the big part of this is that I did not have the kind of relationship with my mom where I like skirted things under the rug. Like, that was never the vibe. I was like the one that was like, why are you doing this? And why are we doing that? And, blah, blah, blah. And it irritated her, right? Like, just to be frank, like I was always pushing, asking questions. Why are we doing it this way? Does this make sense? Et cetera, et cetera. And so the way I proceeded to move in our relationship was not out of line, was not like out of character for me.
Talked every day.
We talked every day for hours. It just, the stakes became higher, right? The things we were now talking about, the things that maybe I had brought up in the past that were skirted because they could be skirted, there was less time to skirt.
Yeah.
Right? Like, SpaghettiOs, like we're facing terminal illness. There are things that our family has not discussed. There are things that are out there that affect people in a really big way that like we need to talk about.
And that kind of goes to what's sort of this sort of family secret then has come to the forefront.
Yeah.
Because then these things come out. Your mom, I think, deeply on the inside, even though she doesn't want to recognize it, knows that she doesn't have it long.
Right.
So then it's like, okay, this needs to come out out of necessity, even though it's something that she did not want to come out.
Right.
She fought her whole life to not come out.
Right.
But now it's here. And that was put on you.
Yeah.
To sort out.
Yeah. But so here's the kicker, right? Like, a lot of us were having discussions sort of in private, not with mom, about what did this mean? What were we going to do, et cetera. And it felt like there was sort of this camp that was like, let's just not talk about things. Let's just tell her whatever she wants to hear
Yep.
because that's the easier, kinder thing to do. That went literally completely against every fiber of my being. I could not lie to my mother. I could not sit there and say, yeah, everything's going to be okay. Like, I just couldn't do that. Right or wrong. Like, there's people who may say the path I chose was wrong and I should have just, I couldn't do it. So we confronted her about this particular topic. More information is in the blog, but it did not go well at all.
And I think one of the biggest things too is this is the way that we thought about it and the way that we knew things needed to go. Everybody in the family agreed
Mm-hmm.
that this was the right path.
Mm-hmm.
And we were the only ones that could go to your mom and have a crucial conversation because
Right.
we had those with her in the past.
Right.
Maybe they didn't go so well. This one certainly didn't go so well either. But that conversation needed to be had because that's who we
Right.
are. And they nobody stood their ground like we did.
Mm-mm.
And it's not even standing your ground in a way, in a negative way. It's we know things are going to go this way, and this is going to be on us. We're
Right.
the ones that are going to be quote unquote holding the bag
Right.
in the end here.
Right.
So we know the way these things are going to go, but she didn't want to see it that way, and everyone else around her lied to her
Yeah.
because it was the easy thing to do.
That's right. Yeah. I wanted to feel at peace with the fact that we had had a conversation about the reality and we had had a mutual conversation about how things were to be dealt with in her absence. That to me was important. And when we couldn't come to that agreement and she wasn't willing to accept the repercussions of the hiding of the lie, right? It was time to now say, okay, you did what you did and that's okay, right? I wasn't like berating her for doing it. I understood. I'm an empath. I'm a Virgo. I get all sides of it. It was just now it's time to like clean it up.
Yeah.
And now it's time to sit down and like take accountability and like work this out. And it did not go well. And this is where things really changed for me because things were said in front of my daughter. And I'm a pretty emotional person. Like in the past, I will get heightened and I will get cuckoo. And in this moment, I did not get cuckoo, but I did get clarity
Mm-hmm.
that I was not going to participate in this cycle anymore. I was not, and I write this in my blog, I was no longer thinking about, was I a good daughter or a bad daughter? I was thinking about being a mother. And I literally looked at you and I said, they've got to go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like they have to leave our house.
Yeah. And this is years of you transitioning, I think, that mentality
Yes.
from how do I be a good daughter? How do I please? Into, okay, now I'm a mother.
Right.
This is a different role. This is I can't please other people. I need to make sure my family's good first and my daughter's good first. And in that moment, that was not the case. And we had to tell them to leave. And so looking at it from an outside perspective, so, oh man, how can you kick out your mother-in-law who has terminal brain cancer out of your house? It was not an easy thing to do,
No.
but it was something that we felt was necessary because of everything that was happening.
Right. And we were protecting our daughter. We could see it wasn't going well. It was heightened beyond. And, unfortunately, after that incident, I mean, I didn't know what came next.
Yeah.
I was sort of just acting like in that moment, like in this moment, this needs to happen because things need to be sort of settled down.
Yeah.
But I had opened something, right? And there was a lot of anger from her. There was a lot of really intense feelings, words, that really shocked me. And I think another piece here that's important to understand is like I felt very betrayed by the simple fact that I thought we had the kind of relationship where we told each other everything.
Mm-hmm. And I think you did. But there is this one piece,
It's a big piece.
yeah, that was off the table. It was either her way in this instance or no way at all.
And I thought we could I thought, we used to battle so much. Like when I was in high school, ooh, child, we were like oil and water. Like we didn't mix. We were, but you have to understand my mom was a therapist. I had done so much work, therapy work on myself and healing and growing. And so I had thought we had gotten to this place where like we could have these really tough conversations, even if it was about like really tough stuff and still be able to like get to a place of understanding. But like this was so painful because it brought me right back to high school. It was like no progress had ever been made on this topic. We were right back to me being 15. And I remember saying to her in the argument, I said, I'm not 5 anymore, Mom. You can't gaslight me and just say, this is true. And I have to say, yes, it's true just because you said it was. And I remember her getting so irritated about that, yes, I'm an adult now. Like I can see through some of these things and it doesn't add up anymore.
Right. Yeah. Sort of the way we've built our life now, these things no longer align,
Right.
especially on this one particular topic. So we have to live our life in honesty, and that's what we do.
Right.
And we have to live in a way that is authentic to who we are.
We'll talk about, so Chad, I want you to talk a little bit about the island thing because I like this. This is like analogy. I know it came from Glennon. We love Glennon, but I feel like you really gravitate towards this. And I think it's a good thing for our listeners to kind of hear this way of thinking of it.
Yeah, yeah. So I think when you get married, right, you create a family. And it's when we got married, it was me and you. We were a family, and we created an island together. And we're on this island. We have Juliet on this island, and we invite extended family, who is now my parents, your parents, my brothers, just whoever is outside of that core, me, you, and our daughter. They are invited on.
Right.
And, if what they're doing goes against what our values are, then we have complete authority to kick them off our island. And I think this goes to a lot of what currently I think Oprah's done a lot of stuff on it with, kids and, disowning their parents, not talking to their parents. And I think we are very much different in our generation than older generations are on this. I think there's a caveat that gets missed a lot, though, in that conversations need to happen.
Right.
And you need to talk with your parents, with whoever in your family that you might be having a disagreement with, and understand where they're coming from. So we're on our island, we're doing our thing, and somebody comes in and makes a comment we don't like, and we say, screw you, you're off our island. No, no thanks. We don't talk to you anymore. That's not how it works.
Right.
Have conversations. Have a crucial conversation. Talk to that person. If they continually violate that boundary, then you got to start thinking about, hey, is this person good? Is this person adding to my life in a positive way? Or are they taking away from my life in a way that isn't healthy?
Right. And I think it's easy. Thank you for sharing that. I think it's easy to talk about it in like these sort of black and white terms. But remember, we've been having this discussion for years and years and years and years to be able to talk about this in a way where we're not like sobbing.
Yeah.
So if you're just starting these conversations in your marriage and you're just starting to have to be like, wait a minute, every time I'm around my mom, I feel really crappy. And here's another thing that I think is really important. I learned this in therapy. This was mind blowing for me. When the therapist said, I was worried about an extended family member being around my daughter. And she said, well, let's take a step back and realize like this person is not your, mother or father, for example. Or this person is not your daughter's mother or father. They're yours. So the impact their behavior had as your mother or father is not the same experience already as your daughter's going to have. Right? She has a mother and a father. That's you. So really, it's less about is their behavior negatively affecting your child in the sense that they're doing something to them, because that wasn't the case. It's, are they still doing something to you that's now not allowing you to show up well for your child?
Right.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Right? So the work is, if you having this person around brings out a version of you, right? For me, it was a lot of criticism. Mom was very critical. Very, very critical. That was her love language. She was doing it to make me better, but it came out very critical. And it did make me anxious, and it did probably make me act in a way around my daughter that wasn't super positive, right? So, but that piece of information I think is something to take in mind, right? Are these people you're inviting on your island enhancing you,
And your family.
enhancing your family, enhancing your ability to be a mom or a dad, enhancing your ability to be a wife or a husband? Like that to me now is the new frame in which we evaluate relationships in our lives, right? Are these people bringing out a version of me that's like a better version, right? A healthier version, a more intellectual version, a more open version, whatever that looks like to you. That was a game changer for me
Hmm.
because I didn't realize that that's the way you should be looking at relationships, right? Even marriage, right? Like when I can tell we're in a funk, when we're not bringing out the best in each other, I'm like, wait a minute, right? What's happening?
Well, usually we're not communicating. We're not
Right,
talking to each other, right? Things are happening, and you know those things aren't being discussed between us, and that's when the
right,
breakdown happens when communication stops.
right. So, okay, so now that we've established these boundaries, we had discussed putting a boundary in place. One of the hardest things I ever had to do. I decided to distance myself from my mom during this period of time. And with my daughter, it was no contact, zero contact.
Yeah.
That was hard. And I mentioned that in my blog. Like, I am not in any way discrediting that that was very painful for my mother. And my intention was not to hurt her. Right. Meanwhile, my daughter wasn't sort of negatively affected by it. Like, she was thriving. She's in school. We have a life. We have a very full, robust life.
And
Right.
to your earlier point, we are her parents.
Right.
She's very comfortable, and
Right.
our family structure is solid.
Right. And open book, right? If there's any questions, we would talk about them. Obviously, she knew my mom was dying of cancer. So that was a constant conversation about heaven and God and any of the questions. Like everything was an open book. So it wasn't like we were hiding her from these things and she was confused and turmoiled and crying. And like that narrative really bothers me because we would never allow that to happen. If she was upset, we would have addressed it, right? We would have engaged in therapy services. We would have done anything that she needed. That wasn't the case. Right. And again, this was affecting me in a way that's not going to affect her because I am her daughter, not my daughter. Right. I am my daughter's mother. So it really became more about how much this was draining us. We had hit a roadblock. We had found out this lie. It was all unraveling. Things were just tumultuous. Mom was dying. It was overwhelming. It was becoming a day. And here's another thing to remember up until this point, I was not just talking to my mom every day. I was heavily depended on by my mom. I was making doctor's appointments. I was getting her services. I was answering calls. I was talking to people. I was setting up meal trains. I was setting up videos for her to be sent from friends. Like I was in this. This was a full-time thing for me. And mom expected that of me. And I think that's something that maybe people don't understand if you've never been a caretaker, you've never been in that kind of situation. It was a daily thing, right? Emotional support, physical sometimes support, certainly time support, while also trying to still be a mom and a wife and like live a life and go to cheer competitions and not be in the corner crying. And like, it was just a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's a lot to be in that position, right? To be the person that your mom goes to. And this is before the confrontation happened. Like you were the person that she would go to for these types of things,
Right.
right? She had her husband to do these things as well, but you were the one that she came to as the confidant, as the one to
Yes.
fix things, or be the person that figure things out,
Yeah.
how to get you into the best hospital, how to.
But not only that, but like there were things that she was unhappy with in her marriage that she was coming to me about, right? That's a tough position to be in, right? Because I knew that he was struggling with her being sick and everything, but she's also upset. And so it was a lot. It was a lot to navigate and it was a lot to juggle and I was doing the very best I could. And then when we hit this roadblock, it just felt like that was it. And I had made it super clear to my stepdad in conversation that I wanted to be kept in the loop. He actually asked for that. Hey, I want to keep, lines of communication open and always fully expected that I would be notified when and if things were going, downhill, hospice, etc. We did still communicate during this time. It wasn't like her and I had no communication. We were emailing back and forth. If I would see an article or something, I would send that to her. I was trying to stay engaged. She was sad, right? She wanted to see us. It just didn't make sense. It didn't feel right. I also was really trapped between this idea of how do I support her and be there for her, but we can't talk about these things. And if we do talk about these things, is that going to be helpful or hurtful? She's dying. Like it was just a mess.
Yeah. It's a very, very complicated situation and so nuanced, and there's so many details that a lot of people don't understand.
No,
Most people don't understand unless you're
in it.
literally connected by you, by her husband, me, you know.
Yeah, there's few of us that really understand the breadth of all of this.
Yeah.
And part of the reason why I wanted to talk about it because this may be an extreme version, but I know there's people out there. I know there's other couples out there that have walked this road and it's hard. We're going on a trip out of town and I get the call from my uncle that my mom is put on hospice. So now we have to really think about like, okay, this is happening.
Yeah, seriously, we need to start thinking about what this looks like now because of all the events that happened, because of the way the relationship is right now. Okay, what do we do?
So I continue to pray about it. I always knew I wanted to go down there, obviously, and see her before she passed away. Um, I leaned into the trip. It was very beautiful. All of your aunties, who I love so much, had all very recently, like within the last 2 years, lost their mothers. And so there was a lot of conversation where they really poured into me, prayed over me about how to handle the situation. And their advice was resoundingly the same. Like, you need to go, you need to be there. Um, your feelings are super valid and right, two things can be true at the same time. And you will always regret this if you don't go, right? So that trip was really beautiful for me in that way. I came back with a lot of peace about our decision. I started making plans for us to get down there. And again, like during this time, I was just really aware of like a lot of things around me.
Mm-hmm.
I was praying all the time. I was just constantly asking for the universe and God to show me what I needed to see.
Yeah.
And I just became really aware of that.
And was this you trying to still sort through whether or not you could go down because you wanted to? Is this sort of like, can I go and do that?
No, it was more of like I surrendered to the fact that I was going to go, even though I had no clue how it was going to go. I had no clue what I was going to say.
Yeah.
I had no clue if I was walking into something crazy or bad or what I was going to see. It was the surrender of it. It was like the full surrender of like, I have zero clue what I'm walking into. I don't know how this is going to be. And it doesn't matter because I need to go. And that's not really a place many of us like to live in. It's certainly not a place I like to live in. And so I was watching The Pit, love The Pit, and an episode came on. This was literally like 2 days before we were heading down. And there were these two siblings who were trying to say goodbye to their parent. One was more like comfortable with it. The other was not sure if they were ready to say goodbye. And Dr. Robbie Revizovich, whatever his name is, I can never say that. He said to them, like, it's super simple. There's this Hawaiian saying when someone's passing, you say, I love you. Thank you. I forgive you. Please forgive me.
Mhm.
And I was just like sobbing, like,
That hit.
yes.
Yeah.
It was like, that's it. That's all I need to say.
Mhm.
Just like in this podcast, we don't need to tell you what the secret is because it involves personal information of other parties. The same way it doesn't matter that I need to go off a list of all the things I forgive her for, the things that I need her to forgive me for. You just need to say it.
Yeah.
Right? Those words are enough.
Mhm. Yeah.
And we proceeded to go down there and I walked in the room and it was like nothing had ever changed
Yeah.
and everything had changed at the same time. Right? It's like she's sitting in a hospital bed. That's hard because my mom's a very strong woman and that would be hard for anyone. But I think it was like she was still her. Like she instantly wanted Juliet to come over and hug her, and she instantly wanted me to come over and hug her. And right away, she apologized to my daughter and, said she was sorry, obviously, because of everything that had happened. And my daughter had recorded her voice in the Sweet Bear and gave her the book, The Invisible String, which is a beautiful book to help sort of explain death to children and how they'll always be connected via this string. And Um, and then you took her and it was just me and my mom and it was just quiet and she kind of patted the chair and was like, come over. And I sat there and, I told her those four things. I said, Mom, I love you and I thank you and I forgive you and I hope you can forgive me. And she just, said, come, come, and just held me and we cried. And she said, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. And, you know, I said, it's okay. And I just asked her if she was scared because I don't like people to be scared because I don't like to be scared. I hate that feeling. And she was like, I'm so scared. And I said, you don't need to be scared. Like you're going to heaven and you're going to have a front row seat to everything. You're going to have the best seat in the house. And, um, I think I said at one point, like when I was asking her, are you scared? She's like, well, yeah, I've never done this before. And that's like so mom, like that's the side of her that I love so much is just like that funny kind of commentary where it's like, of course you've never died before. But she's just like, I don't know, I've never done it. And I don't know, it was just like a really beautiful moment. And it felt like we were at this place that we, had not expected to be. And yet we were still both able to like be ourselves.
Yeah.
There was no animosity. There was no hard feelings. There was none of that.
Yeah.
It was just like she knew what she had done.
Mm-hmm.
She knew why I did what I did.
Yeah.
And I know she wanted the best for me.
Right.
I know she only wanted the best for us and my sister and all of our families. And so we had this really lovely moment and then, it was cute because like my mom had brain cancer. So yes, her brain was affected, but she was still fully there.
She was still there. Yeah.
Right? Like I make her pumpkin chocolate chip cookies. They're my Nana's famous recipe. And like that's what she always wanted when I came. And so right away we walked to the door. She's like, she would tap her plate for Juliet to bring her a cookie. Like, I want my cookie. Mm-hmm. And then we were leaving that day and we were going down to the beach and she sat up and she was like, the flag, the flag. And I was like, what are you talking about? And I realized she always wanted to make sure we checked the flag at the beach because it indicated what color. Danger. That was my mom, right? Like, oh, if it's red, you can't go in there. And so she knew we were taking our daughter to the beach, so she wanted to make sure we looked at the flag to indicate if it was safe or not. So I thought that was a really beautiful thing. Because it was just still her. Yeah. Right. And like there's still times to this day where we'll be doing something and I'll say to my daughter, like, oh, what would Nanny say right now if she was here? Right. And she'll say to a T exactly what Nanny would say. Right. Or if we go to get ice cream, like she knows Nanny always loved like pumpkin ice cream or mint chocolate chip. And so it's like, again, I think what I'm realizing is like this was really hard and this was really painful. And it's still true that everything that happened like is tough.
Yeah.
But you can never take away. I feel like the way you love someone is those things. Yeah. The way you know what their favorite flavor of ice cream is, and the way you know what they would want to do on the holiday because it was their favorite part. And so that's the stuff that I'll carry. Yeah. And it doesn't make it easier because the stuff that happened was really tough and hard. But I'm not going to let that take away from all the good that there was and we had. And I think that's the part that sucks is there's people who have decided to get involved in this story.
They don't know.
That just don't know. And they've said horrible things to me and about me the day my mom died. This woman I've never even met took it upon herself to send me a nasty message about how terrible of a person I was on the day my mom passed away.
Yeah, it was disgusting. Absolutely
disgusting.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't understand how these people can't know that there are two sides in all of these instances. And the way and you getting emotional and going through all this, it sort of perfectly sums up a mother-daughter relationship.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people can sympathize with this and understand what this is because a mother and daughter relationship is so incredibly unique and so incredibly nuanced.
Yeah.
And like you said, you can go through and say all these wonderful things that happen, all the things that weren't so great. But that's what the relationship
That's
is.
right.
It's all of that.
It's all
It's
of
not
that.
all good. It's not all
That's
bad.
right.
And, you standing with your mom next to her on her deathbed, going through this, being able to say that saying, and both of you just being completely present and knowing that this is it right now in this world, in this life.
Right.
That's it.
Yeah.
Right. But now you carry that through.
Right.
And it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
It's hard. It's tragic. It's something that life teaches us, and it's a
Right.
lesson that we'll carry through.
Yeah. I think that's such a beautiful way to sum it up. Like all relationships are so complicated. A mother and daughters, now that I have my own daughter, extra complicated, right? A lot of big feelings, um, a lot of dynamics going on. I think the thing that I would say about all of this is one, stick with your partner, right? If I didn't have you, honey, I don't think I could have, I mean, I wouldn't have been able to do any of this. And I think the thing to remember is like, you didn't just tell me what I wanted to hear,
Yeah.
right? There were many times where you'd be like, don't say that. Don't do that. Let's think through that, right? You were my sounding board. You were my safe place. You're the person that I can trust. I think what sucks is that that wasn't always done on all the other sides,
Yeah.
right? So that's tough, right?
Yeah.
We're used to a dynamic where in our marriage, we tell each other the truth and we challenge each other and we question things and we push each other. That's not always the case. So that's the first thing I would say. The second thing I would say is please do not get involved and chime in to other people's super personal relationships when you don't know the whole story.
Yeah. It's easy to hop on team this, team that, team
Yeah.
this person, team that person, but it's so incredibly childish to do that thing or to do something like that when you know there are so many other facts, so many other things going on. You just have
Yeah.
no clue.
And that's the thing, like, during this time, I talked to you and my cousin, who's really my sister. That's it.
Yeah.
I didn't start calling family members. I didn't go around to people trying to defend my side of things. Like, it didn't make sense. And I'm not dogging my mom for doing that, right? She did it because she needed to. She was upset. She was venting. She was dying for Pete's sake. Like, she needed to do that. And I totally understand why she did that. I just don't appreciate people who now are essentially bearing arms
Yeah.
against us as if they're carrying her sword because she wouldn't want that.
Yeah.
I don't believe. Again, that's another funny thing when people tell me, your mother wouldn't have wanted this. Like, okay, well, none of us really know that, right? I think I know better than you, though. I've known her for almost 38 years of my life, and these people, some of them have known her for a couple years. So it's kind of crazy to think you would know more than I do. I mean, even her ex husband, like, I don't know. It's just a weird dynamic. But the reality of the situation is that I knew my mom very well. And like you said, this was a slight blip on a long, long, long chapter story.
Yeah. This probably would have taken 5 to 10 years into the future to get sorted out.
Yeah.
And that was condensed down into
Yeah, like months.
a 14-month period.
Less than
That
that.
is a lot of trauma, a lot of change to navigate, to work through, and to deal with. And to your point before, the only way we got through that was talking about it. Every day we're connected about it, talking about it, listening. And from my perspective, I'm here listening to what you have to say, pushing back on certain things when I think that, hey, maybe you're not thinking through this rationally at the moment.
Yeah.
Picking the time when I do bring that stuff up, right?
Yeah.
But it's communicating, and that's one of the biggest things about this podcast is encouraging couples to, if they're not already doing so, just start communicating more and just
Yeah.
talk to each other, because that's where our strength is, and that's how we hold our family together.
Yeah.
Is knowing what's going on in each other's lives.
Yeah.
Understanding at a very intimate level how you're doing emotionally, physically, spiritually, all of those things. But you have to stay connected, and that is communication.
What do you think? I'm going to ask you one question, then you ask me one question before we close. One question I want to ask you is, what was the hardest part of being my husband through this process?
Seeing the hurt, you know, seeing you have to go through this and be it, it was hard, but also made me proud, right? Because I see you, somebody who's strong and holds on to who you are and your authenticity, and that's always so important for you to be authentic, and that's who you were to yourself, to our family the whole time.
Thank you.
Love
I love you too.
Mhm. Now you have a question. What's a question for you? Um, would you have done anything differently? Is it? Would you have? Do you look back and say, yeah, maybe I should have done that differently? Maybe I should have done this differently.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, it's not really, because I was so blessed to feel divinely guided through all of this. So that made me feel really good. That it just was like constant peace about everything. Like it was hard and then it was peace. Then it was hard and then it was peace. I think the only thing I honestly would have done differently is probably addressed more of these things with both my mom and my stepdad together, like had some of these harder conversations. I think I did a lot of having a conversation with each one of them separately on certain things, which led to more stress of me trying to like fact check things. Like it became a full-time job just to do that part, to figure out like, well, are you telling me the truth? Are you telling me the truth? How do I support you? And it was just like a lot of like noise
Right.
versus like progress. So I think I would have, yeah, I think I would have, after my mom got sick, made more of a concerted effort to have like a family meeting,
Right.
In a way even that maybe was structured by an outside party.
Yeah, so to get everyone on the same page.
Right, knowing some of these complexities and not knowing all the truth, but maybe pushing that to come out sooner, right? To have some of these tough conversations, because, and that's what I'll say for anybody who's dealing with a sick parent, something my mom really struggled with was the acceptance of this diagnosis.
Yeah, it's hard.
Um, she just could not get to a place of surrender. And I think that was a lot of pain for me, as I wanted so badly for her to be okay with it, in the sense that like I just wanted to spend time and like do fun things, and like, and she just couldn't get there. And so maybe that is another thing I regret, is like being more accepting of where she was in the process and maybe trying to figure out how to meet her there more.
Yeah.
It's not my strong suit. Like I don't like to sit around and be like, woe is me. Like I hate that place because it just makes me feel icky and like depressed.
Yeah.
So I'm more like, let's go, let's do this, let's do that. And like, I think too, and we'll talk about this in further episodes, where this diagnosis came at this point in my life, I had just started to make some forward strides, and then this happened and I was like, no, like I don't want to go back to that dark place. So, um,
That's a good point too. Always understanding and know where you are in life and where you are again on that island, your family,
yeah,
where your family is, and not letting outside forces pull you back in a significant way.
yeah. All right, well, I think that's a good place to end. Thank you so much for joining the Janda Diaries. Please like and subscribe, follow. Again, we just want to have true conversations and build community of other couples who are in this together, and share with us the journeys you're going through. Share with us if there's any topics that we covered in this pod that you want to know more about. And we look forward to building this community with you together.
Absolutely. Can't wait. Love you.
Love you too. That was awkward, the hand thing.
I was going for this.
Well, but my hand was on this side.
Going for that.
I didn't know. Penny, you guys did good. When you got emotional at the end, I wasn't expecting that, so that was good.
Yeah.